If you've ever experienced or are currently experiencing what we call a twin flame separation, then you don't need me to tell you how dismal, confusing, and deeply agonizing to the very core of your soul this experience can be and is for all authentic twin flames who experience it. There are many videos on twin flame separation, what it is, how to cope with it, but I feel that there is a need for a video, a space to be given to understanding the purpose behind twin flame separation. So if you are currently experiencing some kind of disconnect from your twin flame, again, this separation doesn't have to be the traditional idea of separation. This may be a time when you are traditionally separated from your twin flame, meaning that you aren't in contact, you never see each other. But separation could be used to refer to any kind of disconnect in the 3D world, the physical world, from your twin flame. This disconnect could simply be geographical. You could still be in contact but separated by a great distance. This could be circumstantial or situational, where you are aware of one another's deep love and connection, and you may even be in communication, but it feels as though circumstances that cannot be overcome are keeping you apart. This could mean that your twin flame has blocked you or isn't communicating with you as frequently through either text, phone, or social media. Any form of disconnect imaginable could be a twin flame separation. And I just feel the need to say that because I get the sense that someone listening to this video is actually questioning whether or not they are even going through a separation because they are feeling all the intense pain and signs and symptoms associated with a twin flame separation, but they aren't fully, completely separated. They are just disconnected in some way. And I want you to know, if that is you, again, this really could just be one person I'm speaking to here, but if that is you, know that your separation is every bit as valid, and that is why it is every bit as painful, because even in just that disconnect from your twin flame, your ego is perceiving this separation. And because on a soul level, you are always connected, you are always sensing them, this disconnect, no matter the extent of it or the nature of it, is very, very painful to you. So let's first talk about what separation truly is, and then we will get into the reasons and causes for separation. Separation is something that our ego perceives, a distance, some kind of disconnect between us and our twin flame that is happening in the 3D physical world. And the reason I specify that this is occurring in the 3D is because in the 5th dimension, energetically, on a soul level, we are never in separation from our twin flame. We never were in separation, even prior to meeting on this physical plane. We are not currently in separation, and we never can be. In fact, we are never disconnected from our twin flame, no matter the circumstances, no matter how physically, geographically apart we are, no matter who we are romantically connecting with besides our twin flame. It doesn't matter. That disconnect doesn't energetically exist, which ironically is why it is so particularly painful, because we are actually experiencing this break, this seeming paradox within us, where we are sensing and feeling our twin flame with us and around us all the time. But in the physical 3D world, we are seeing this disconnect. We are experiencing a disconnect. And because of this, it's very hard for us to even comprehend how we are able to so deeply feel and sense this person energetically, and yet be within circumstances that seem to be keeping us apart and seem impossible to overcome. And the reason I feel it's important to point out this difference, this contrast between the energetic level and the soul level, the energetic level and the physical, is because this is actually the key to also resolving this disconnect and overcoming this period of separation, whatever that may be for you. We must find a way of returning to our natural state of being. And I say our natural state because energetically, when we are perfectly clear, whole, and healed within ourselves, we are creating a magnetic force field, or I should say we are allowing the magnetism to happen, because we are actually always being magnetically pulled together with our twin flame. And you have to understand this magnetism is so strong that whatever circumstance you're thinking of right now, whatever situation, whatever separation, no matter how impossible to overcome it may appear, know that that perception of impossibility is a perception of the ego. Because if you were and your twin flame was in your clear, whole, healed, natural state, the magnetism pulling you together would be so strong it would easily traverse and overcome absolutely any obstacle in the physical world. The problem is we essentially demagnetize ourselves and our twin flame and this energetic current pulling us together. And the way that this happens, it's not really entirely our fault or even mostly our fault. It is because of the ways we are wounded by a broken society, and specifically, sometimes even within a broken family. And by broken, I don't mean that our family experience had to be necessarily extremely negative or bad, or that our parents should be labeled as bad. Yes, in some cases, you may have come from a very toxic, challenging upbringing, but for some of you, you may have come from a so-called very good family, a relatively healthy family, but it's just inevitable that our parents were influenced by certain negative influences in our, again, broken society through their own negative family patterns, and that they passed down some of those negative patterns to us. And as a result, we internalize these negative patterns within our own energy. They disconnect us from our natural state of being, which again is highly magnetic when it comes to the twin flame connection. So we must find a way of clearing away these negative blockages within our energy field, healing our own internal wounding, and specifically the wounding of our naturally divine feminine or divine masculine self, whichever you personally identify with. I have created a divine feminine and divine masculine healing subliminal. For those of you who don't know, subliminals are meditation tracks that essentially contain affirmations, as you probably know as spoken affirmations, like what you might repeat to yourself in the mirror. Except the powerful difference and the important difference between spoken affirmations and listening to subliminals is that the word subliminal itself means below the threshold of consciousness. And in this case, it means that these spoken affirmations we're listening to in these audio tracks are actually embedded within other meditation sounds and frequencies. And this has the effect of masking them to the conscious mind, which is important because the conscious mind is like the gatekeeper to the subconscious mind, and it's actually the subconscious mind that controls 95% of our thoughts, actions, and outcomes in life. So when it comes to this kind of very deep level energy clearing and healing with the divine feminine and divine masculine, subliminals are a powerful tool we can use to alter what's happening in the subconscious mind very quickly, much more quickly than by other traditional techniques that target only the conscious, like spoken affirmations. So now what you're looking at on the screen is just a screen recording showing you this divine feminine and divine masculine subliminal. These are both available on my website, Sound and Soulful, and on this website I have created a library of over 100 subliminals, and these are designed for all areas of life. So yes, many of them are for twin flames specifically, but I also have subliminals for appearance changes, body changes, the manifestation of specific things like money, a career, a dream house, a dream job, mood changes like confidence and happiness and creativity, virtually for any manifestation of anything you could imagine. So when you create a free trial account on my website, you gain access to my twin flame subliminals, including this divine feminine and divine masculine healing subliminal, as well as every subliminal in my library. So you can try it all out completely free for 7 days, and the link to these particular divine feminine, divine masculine subliminals is in the description box of this video, as well as in the pinned comment. So now that we've talked about what twin flame separation truly is and what different forms it can take, I want to share with you 5 different reasons for twin flame separation, because like I said at the beginning of this video, when you are in the midst of this deep soul level pain, confusion, even to the extent of agony within your soul during this time of separation, the ego is writhing. The ego is actually dying, and not to cease to exist, but dying for the purpose of being reborn. And so we'll get into talking about the ego a little bit later on. But what you have to understand is, and what is so difficult to remember during this time, is that this period of separation is a divinely intended, sacred space of healing. And I know that if you are in separation or experiencing some kind of disconnect from your twin flame, it probably doesn't feel at all that way to you right now. But for just a few minutes here in this podcast, I invite you to ask yourself to surrender the ego just for a moment, to surrender the illusions of this 3D physical world, and see through the eyes of your soul, through the eyes of your higher self. See the divine purpose. Often this purpose is actually very unique to our personal situation and divine intentions. And see if, as you listen to me in this podcast, you receive any kind of message from your own higher self, from your own divine forces of your life that speaks to you within this podcast about perhaps why you specifically are going through this period of intense separation or disconnect. The first reason a twin flame separation can occur is simply because of spiritual immaturity. And I don't want this to be taken in a negative connotation, and this may not necessarily apply to you at all, but actually to your twin flame counterpart. What I mean by immaturity isn't that you are, or your twin flame is, somehow weak or wrong in some way, but simply that they are in the early stages of their spiritual awakening and resulting spiritual growth. And there is nothing wrong about being within these early stages. When two twin flames meet, there is a triggering of this spiritual awakening, and actually this first meeting is intended for that trigger. But what is so hard for the ego to understand is that just because you meet your twin flame doesn't mean that initially and immediately you can be permanently, physically reunited with them. Sometimes this is by divine intention, by your soul's intention prior to incarnating, which I'll get into a bit later. But if one of these twin flames is feeling this triggering of this awakening, they may not yet be energetically sensitive enough, attuned enough with their higher self, with their soul, to fully and clearly see this connection for what it is. Early on in our spiritual awakening, our ego has a tendency to blind us. This is one of its defense mechanisms and its coping mechanisms with the perceived threat to its very existence. We go through what is called an ego death, but before this death occurs and this following rebirth, our ego will begin to lash out and try to protect itself. And one way it tries to protect itself is by blinding us to the truth of our connection, or blinding our twin flame to the truth of this connection, causing one or both twin flame counterparts to intensely doubt, question the connection, or refuse to see it for what it truly is. Now, I feel guided to say this because I feel that someone listening to this podcast is going through an intense period of disconnect or separation, and you see, or you are correct in seeing your twin flame as less spiritually mature. And this is very normal, and in fact very often happens, because usually within a twin flame connection, one is the teacher, spiritually speaking. One paves the way in the spiritual sense for the other. Now, very often, what I also feel the need to say here is, usually because of the yin-yang dynamic, one is paving the way spiritually and the other is actually paving the way materially for this, what I call the ego rebirth. When the ego dies and is reborn, and this authentic material success is created, because we don't just exist spiritually, we are also physical beings. We are material beings intended to enjoy a material world, the manifestation of our spiritual desires, of our soul desires. So oftentimes one twin flame is more ego-driven, more materially successful, and one twin flame is more spiritually awakened, more in tune with their intuitive spiritual side. But if you are the twin flame teacher, if you are paving the way spiritually for this connection, I can tell, or I sense that someone listening to this is finding themselves frustrated with their counterpart because their counterpart may be less spiritually awakened or just beginning to wake up. And what I feel the need to tell you is that your twin flame counterpart is waking up, even if you are separated and even if it doesn't look like it on the surface. Be patient with them and give them time. Know that this spiritual awakening is inevitable, and as they awaken, as they spiritually mature, as a result, they will become more energetically sensitive. They will be able to more clearly see this connection for what it is, but it takes time. Healing and spiritual growth isn't a linear process. It is a series of ups and downs that simply trends upward. So I just felt the need to say that, and I hope that resonates with at least one of you listening. The second reason for twin flame separation is a lack of unconditional love. And again, this could be one twin flame counterpart or both of them, but usually if it is happening in one, it is actually happening to some degree within both, because remember, your twin flame is your perfect energetic mirror. Oftentimes, This lack of unconditional love stems from early childhood experiences in which we weren't, or our twin flame wasn't, shown an example of unconditional love at a time when we were naturally, physically, primally dependent upon our caregivers for emotional and physical support. And because of this, we followed that pattern of lack of unconditional love and we internalized it. And by internalizing it, we rejected certain parts of ourself that we can now refer to as our shadow aspects. And by shadow aspects, I simply mean any part of yourself that you have rejected and is therefore outside of the light of your own consciousness, or metaphorically in the shadows, the so-called shadow self. The thing you have to understand about twin flame love is that your twin flame loves, accepts, sees, understands, and is attracted magnetically deeply to you. But you in your full self, you as you understand yourself consciously, plus all of your integrated shadow aspects, shadow elements. Twin flames naturally, unconditionally love each other fully, deeply, and completely. But this doesn't mean that on the 3D surface level, this will always look like attraction or like unconditional love to others. But this is an illusion, and the reason this illusion exists is because we become, and our twin flame becomes, disconnected to certain aspects of themselves that they have rejected. These parts of ourselves that we refuse to accept and refuse to love ourselves. So when someone else in the form of a twin flame comes along and loves us, sees us in ways we aren't ready to see and love ourselves, we reject their unconditional love in the same way we reject our own unconditional love for ourselves. And in the same way, we were rejected from a young age by others who were incapable or unwilling to love us in our shadow aspects and our shadow elements. In order to cultivate and to deepen this twin flame love, we must come face to face with our shadow self, and we must love, embrace, and see him or her for exactly who they are, and then integrate those parts back into ourself. And only in this fully integrated form, both the parts of ourself we were consciously aware of, those parts in the so-called light, as well as those shadow aspects outside the light of our own consciousness, only by fully integrating all aspects of ourself into ourself are we capable of fully feeling, experiencing, and magnetizing twin flame love into our lives. This is why I so highly recommend my Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine subliminals, which I refer to as the Awakened Feminine and the Awakened Masculine, because in this fully integrated, awakened state, fully embodying the Awakened Masculine or the Awakened Feminine, we become irresistibly magnetic for one another within a twin flame connection. The third reason twin flames separate or experience a period of separation is simply because it is divinely or soul intended. This is the most difficult reason to understand, because when it comes to any soul connection, there are contracts we create with one another. These contracts are created prior to incarnating in this physical world, and contained within these soul contracts, we decide not only the circumstances of our meeting, how we are going to meet, when we are going to meet, but what few people realize is we also divinely intend these sacred spaces of healing from a distance, which from an ego perspective we refer to as separation. what is so hard to understand, and it's like that quote from Steve Jobs, which is, "You can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back." And the twin flame connection is very much like this when it comes to these soul intentions, because even if we are very much in tune with ourselves, with our higher self, and with the divine forces guiding our life, even still, so often we can only connect the dots, those soul intentions, looking back. What you have to understand is there are certain events, life changes, and shifts that are destined to occur within this period of separation prior to our full physical reunion. And what we also have to remember is that this is a divinely protected path. This means that sometimes on a higher level, our souls understand that if we were to fully physically reunite in the 3D world with our twin flame instantaneously, we would cause irreparable, if I can say that word, damage to our connection, which again cannot occur. When I say irreparable, what I mean is it would be unable to repair this damage, but that is why that damage would never occur, because twin flames were designed to be together in a 3D connection. So their higher selves will naturally steer them around situations and obstacles that would cause them to damage one another in the 3D, in the ego, to the extent that they could not be physically reunited in a full union. So this period of separation may actually be a form of soul divine protection that you just can't recognize in the moment. A fourth sign for twin flame separation, or a fourth reason rather for this separation, is that a negative pattern is being highlighted and must be healed before you can reunite physically. Now, when we meet a twin flame, again, this is a trigger point for our spiritual awakening, but also a point at which much is brought to the surface that has been in the darkness, that has been in the shadows or beneath the earth, so to speak, that we have been unaware of. We could go about our entire life living as normal, never recognizing or acknowledging our own negative patterns until we meet a twin flame. And if we hadn't met this twin flame, if we hadn't experienced this spiritual awakening in this trigger moment, this catalyst moment, there is actually a good chance we could have continued our entire life asleep, unawakened, not only to our true spiritual potential, but also to our own negative patterns. However, by meeting a twin flame, we uproot these patterns and bring them to the light. However, just because they are uprooted doesn't mean we are yet ready to fully heal and transform them. The actual healing process can and does take time and can often be very messy. And because of this messiness in the 3D world, this healing process of these negative patterns often also prevents full 3D connection with our twin flame, which we then refer to as a separation. And finally, the fifth reason that twin flames separate is simply because one or both of them is intensely afraid. Now, it is a misconception I want to clear up that this intense fear is directly related to you or the connection. What you have to understand about this intense fear that causes separation is oftentimes it isn't about you or the connection at all. It's about the ego going through this process of ego death. The ego, very much like our human self, has a sense of itself, of its own identity that it is very attached to. And if it feels threatened, it will feel a primal need to survive that will cause it to cause intense fear at all levels of our being, all levels of our energy body, fear that courses through our veins and runs to the very core of our soul. This fear must be processed. and must be transformed. The ego must die and be reborn in order to fully step into our soul self, to rebirth the ego so that we can experience those material blessings, those manifestations in the physical world, but experience them in tandem with a spiritually awakened life and a spiritually fulfilled and authentic self. Now, this video is getting to be very long, about 30 minutes, so I'm going to close out my thoughts here, but I may do another video at some point related specifically to this ego death and rebirth I've referred to in this video. So be sure to let me know in the comments, did you resonate with any of these particular reasons that separation has to occur between twin flames? Or do you have your own reason that came to you that was divinely given to you during this podcast? In this community, love is catching like wildfire. I am truly so grateful for each and every one of you joining me here and supporting me through this channel. If I did resonate with you, please subscribe to this channel, join our community of like-minded, conscious, creative beings here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram at @magnetizeyourself, all put together, where I share high vibrational, inspirational content to keep your vibration up all day long. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again in the next podcast.